everybody, to another fabulous Sunday here in Zeta Global Radio. I'm your host, Lainey Savante Wolkin, and we are here today. I'm very excited because we're here to find your soul's agenda. And to do that, we're going to be talking to Ani Anderson because she wrote a book to find out the one word that will make your whole life a success. But it's not only the one word that will make your whole life success. I've read the book. I've done the practices. I've really got a chance to know this beautiful gem of a human being who is here to share her wisdom, her wonderful guidance with all of you, our ZGR listeners worldwide today. So we're going to get right into it because with our new 30-minute express conversation, we want to get as much as we can with Ani in. So let's just get right into it. Welcome to the show, Ani Anderson.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Yes, and me too. And I want to start off by saying that I just can feel the warmth of who you are, not only by the millions of different people who wrote what they have to say about you in the book, in your coaching program, in your certification for practitioners. I mean, everything you have going on, but also I read every single one of your acknowledgments to like every family member and friends. I was like, really? She took the time to just express from her heart in so many levels, not only to your family and everyone who's touched your lives, but in every story you gave about yourself in this book, and then how you're just so authentically wanting to share that with the world. I just wanted to acknowledge you right off the bat, like it touched me.
Thank you. And that touches me to have you say that, because that's really who I am, and what's most important to me in my life is the quality of my relationships. And so the stories that I tell in the book are really authentic, and they're very heartfelt to every single word in the acknowledgement. So thank you. I really take that to heart.
Well, I feel that everybody here is in for a treat, whatever level they are in their personal growth development, their spiritual development. You have something for everybody in this book. So I thought what we'd do is just maybe begin by a little bit of a background on who you are. You have wonderful, all these letters and accolades behind your name, but I just thought maybe from your perspective a little bit about you, and then what kind of led you to creating a book called Find Your Soul's Agenda.
Yeah, so I have, like you said, a whole bunch of background underneath me, including I'm an occupational therapist, I'm a certified energy worker, I'm a coach, et cetera, et cetera. I was doing great work with people in the world, specifically helping people to alleviate pain and stress and emotional stuff in their lives before I really had my own life situation that, it was the first time for me that it really felt like I couldn't figure things out. So, the short story is I got a divorce, and the long story is a little bit more in the book, but really I just felt crushed, and I didn't know who I was anymore. And so, even though I had all of this background, and I've helped a lot of people to kind of reconstruct their own lives, here I was. And I didn't know what to do. So I started to take courses. I started to take assessments. I felt very deeply that I needed to find out who I was. If I could find out who I was, I would be able to figure this out. And so what happened was I took a few assessments and I took a few purpose courses, and I got similar results from each of them. They all were kind of pointing me towards a similar result. But darn it, for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why, because that person that the results were describing didn't sound like me at all. And
wow.
So I thought the results were describing somebody else until I kept getting the same result. And then I knew I just couldn't figure out probably where to get from where I was to where I wanted to be. There was no way that the results were all incorrect. But I couldn't figure out how to get from where I was to where I wanted to be, And so, honestly, I just sat with it for a really long time, and I gave up on it until finally one day it hit me like a light bulb kind of over the head, like, oh, this is the problem. The problem is that I'm looking for a one-sided description of me. I'm looking for a one-sided view of life in where I'm happy all the time, I'm successful all the time, everybody loves me all the time. And the reality is that that's not how life works. And I understood that from my background and training in Eastern philosophy and Chinese medicine. I knew that, but it wasn't occurring to me.
We have to have the yin and the yang.
Yeah, exactly, right? And I started to look at, wait a minute, what if all the results were right, but that was one half of me? If that was true, what was the other half of me? And the other half of me was this broken individual who couldn't figure out who she was. And so, wow, I started to really embrace like a full concept of who I was and work with that. And I worked with it for a solid, probably, gosh, I want to say year or 2 years before somebody else in my life said, I don't know what you've been doing with yourself, but you need to teach me whatever it is. And that was my first full agenda client, and I helped somebody else walk through the process. That's when I realized how powerful it was.
Wow, beautiful. And so that full agenda, that first full agenda client is the basis, like the work that you did with that client is what is in the book, or it evolved from there?
Yeah, it really was about what I had done with myself, but I hadn't realized it. So once I did it with her, I realized I've done this with myself. And so it was already there, honestly. It was just kind of uncovering what was already there.
Well, then you've come a long way, because not only did you have that one client, but now you and your husband, and I read, have a full certification program that is it the offshoot of the book, or it's the basis of what's in the book that now you teach others to teach others?
Yeah, good question. So we do have a Soul Agenda Facilitator program that just helps people to learn this one technique, but actually the Soul Agenda work became one part of our full certification now, which is a mindset coach training certification. And so it's one method that we use to help our clients gain clarity into who they are and help them to achieve their goals.
And when you say that, and it's interesting because the last couple of shows we've had on ZGR have been on talking about different, the different three minds in the inner child, and really getting into the subconscious work. So it seems maybe that January is the theme of this work entirely about really getting into the depths of who we are, because no one's immune to it, right, Ani? Like, doesn't matter if you're the most spiritual person or you're just waking up. We all have to, essentially do the work.
I love that you brought this up, because this has really been the flavor of my January, that, we're all spiritual beings, all of us, every single one of us, and we're all on our own path. And so this comparison that we can make with ourselves about who's farther along and who's not is really one that oftentimes we use that comparison against ourselves. As you know from reading the book, the mind is going to compare. It's not that that's a problem, but how are we using comparison? Because, I've really been noticing specifically in January that there are some people around me in my realm who really think that they know everything, and they're missing some of the juiciest, most amazing stuff that's right there for them to learn. And then there are people who don't think they know. They just don't think they know enough to put themselves out there or say something or help people. And, oh my gosh, they have so many gems to share. And so there's really a danger in not entering in beginner's mind at all times. Having enough esteem for ourselves to know that I can make an impact in every moment with people around me, but also having that beginner's mind to be aware that I don't know everything. There's always something for me to learn.
I love that. My husband, he produces the show. Thank you, Howard. He always says the greatest strength is knowing your own weaknesses. And I hear that play in my head all the time. It's like, isn't it okay that we don't know everything, and there's others who have just maybe honed in on some of the areas that we can learn from? I mean, isn't that the way to expand instead of trying to do it all yourself? For sure. Well, yeah. Well, we have a couple minutes left in this segment before we get into the next, but do you want to maybe just give a little bit of an intro? Because your book is chocked full of goodness. It has tons and tons of detail on so many aspects of who we are as we lead into getting our soul's agenda statement in our one word, which I thought was brilliant. I did all that. I actually found myself a little stumped on the childhood part, but I think that's a huge, huge piece. But you gave me pause for thought, and that was really wonderful just to have that alone of like, wow, she really made me think about something that I needed to take some time this morning and work on.
Yeah, I'll give you a little flavor. So the book really has a lot of background information in it, and the reason is, yes, I could just give you the exercise where you find your soul's agenda, but the real good stuff, the real meat in the soul agenda process is using it. Otherwise it's like a magic trick where you just find your soul agenda. Yay, oh, that was fun. And then you go and lead the rest of your life. I mean, and your listeners know you've been talking about this now for a month with some other guests that you've had. So the real goodness of it is knowing how to use it. So I do give a lot of information in the book about things like natural law and some of the way that our subconscious mind self-sabotages and things like that, so that when you get to the process, you're able to use it. You're coming from the right frame of mind to be able to take the information in and, as I was saying, use the wholeness of the exercise, because you could really attach to just that positive aspect of it. But I want people to use the whole exercise, both the light aspects and the polarity, so that they can really move forward.
I love that. It's funny, you did bring it up in the book, but I'll just ask that here. When you say you can use other words besides agenda, but you chose agenda. So I'm just curious, like, how that came forward for you, like when entitling this book, like, I just want to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and I'll give you the total upfront skinny. The deal is that I think for me, and I've noticed for many people, sometimes it feels like life is having its way with us. And we're like, what the hell is this about? I mean, what's up with this, that life is happening to me like this? And all of us are trying to really come from this place of self-empowerment where we really take responsibility for ourselves. I find great peace and solace in knowing that life also has an agenda, and I'm a part of that. So there are times when it's really hard to take full responsibility, or it's really hard to see that what's happening is happening for my greater good. There are times when that's really hard. And so the soul agenda, I think, really softens the acceptance of that, to see that we're in a co-collaboration with life. So that when we get in those places, where it's like, God, why is life happening to me like this? Like, it's okay to think like that when we're still taking steps forward. That's why I used agenda.
Beautiful. Well, here's this. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to dig into the book a little bit, where we can get some major highlights or some takeaways from this wonderful conversation here with Ani. So everybody, take a break, listen to our wonderful sponsors. We will be back on ZGR in just a moment. Zeta Global Radio is a proud sponsor of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce of Southwest Florida's monthly community education outreach series. Join an esteemed member-based panel on a variety of topics, including February's upcoming Health and Fitness panel at the Center for Spiritual Living in Cape Coral and at the Unity Church of Bonita Springs. Learn from our 4 panelists 4 different perspectives and possibilities for living stronger and staying limber and healthier much longer. Only $5 to attend. Learn from these experts on how you can be a better you, mind, body, and soul. For more information, please visit any of the Facebook pages, which are HCC Cape Coral, HCC Fort Myers, or HCC Naples, for event information. We look forward to seeing you there. Additionally sponsored by Natural Awakenings Magazine and Muscle Tuners International. Holistic Radiance Day Spa, formerly Trice Massage Therapy and Skincare, welcomes you to their new location in the heart of downtown Cape Coral, Florida. Specializing in massage therapy, including deep tissue, Swedish, trigger point, and lymphatic drainage, to facials of all kinds, incorporating avant-garde technologies for every skin type. All of their skin and nail care products and services are natural and support the optimum in self-care wellness. Be part of their special Holistic Radiance Day Spa membership club, filled with special offers, discounts, and member-only services. Right now, ZGR listeners has a special offer for you. Enjoy a buy 1 month, get the next one free by visiting their website at holisticradiancefl.com or their Facebook page at Holistic Radiance Day Spa. It's time to be conscious and caring about your own personal wellness. Visit Holistic Radiance Day Spa today for a pampered treatment and to truly become the radiant being your body has been waiting for. Ready to see what's in the cards for you? It's a new year and new goals are being set. Yet what is the roadmap to get them met, realized, and brought to fruition? Hi, it's Lainey Savante Wolkin here, and when I'm not hosting ZGR, I'm working with clients worldwide to bring better harmony, clarity, and purpose. I show you a mirror of what your soul already knows but is waiting to bring forward for healing, transformation, and truly a jump on the next phase of your life. I'm a certified 5th tarot reader, certified theta healer, and I come from a very long lineage of intuitives in my family. My new readers and healing studio is located in downtown Cape Coral, Florida, yet I work with people worldwide doing phone and online Zoom readings. Wherever you are, I could support you. When you are called to the cards, let me support you further with a very insightful look at what fabulous events life has in store for you. After all, the cards don't lie, so let's see what magic is waiting for you. To book a session today, please visit my Intuitive Wisdom Facebook page for more info. Intuitive is spelled I-N, the number 2, U-I-T-I-V-E, the word wisdom. Intuitive Wisdom on Facebook. Thanks so much. I look forward to reading for you soon. All right, so here we were talking off air, and Ani asked me what some of my experiences were in reading the book, and I had said, well, I kind of alluded to the childhood, like thinking of your childhood memories, and I had to sit in, or positive childhood memories. I had to sit for a minute and think about that, about how, wow, why do I not have a million things I can think of? And then it actually started to flood in. I thought of this and that and this, but it wasn't like immediate for me where it was like I can think of a million rosy situations. And maybe that's what's carved my character into being a self-help healer for many people as years gone on and I've had experience. But is that common for people like that are more in the spiritual communities, or what are your thoughts on that? We'll start there.
Yeah, that is really common. As I've done this process with people, there are especially the people whose job it is to help people, like you were saying.
Yeah.
There are a lot of not positive childhood memories. I have definitely had people who can't come up with any. And then when we do the exercise and we find their polarity statement, meaning the ways that we don't love to feel in life, they look back and they're like, oh, my God, like that's how I felt in childhood all the time.
Wow. We're both wowing. Well, what was also interesting, and it kind of plays along some of the things you talked about, which were guilt and shame and some of these other topics, but when I was thinking about the childhood memories, I mean, those were, I'm an intuitive reader. I tell people all the time, whatever just shows up in the field for me to share. But when I was looking at those memories, I was valuing them like, well, is that what she was talking about? Or is that a good enough, fond enough memory? I started judging, like, is that memory good enough that, like I used to go do this little silly thing with my dad. And I thought, oh my God, that's what showed up. But here I'm judging it.
That's exactly right. So first of all, one of the reasons why in the process, I say, find your best childhood memory, find your best personal life memory, is because in other memory recapitulation exercise, some people use the word happy. And it's been my experience as I've done this process with folks that, first of all, some people don't have happy childhood memories. And second of all, it's not necessarily that it was the happiest, but it was the one that made us feel the best. I've had people say that it's when my grandmother died. It's when my parents got divorced. Like, those are their best memories. And so as they're vulnerably sharing this with me, they say, I don't know why this one's coming up. I mean, it, quote unquote, shouldn't come up. But when my parents got divorced, that felt like one of the best memories. And I have them describe to me why. And the empowerment there is like unbelievable, or whatever words are coming up are so profound. So, the most common childhood memory of the people who have done this work with me is like some very simple moment, like chasing fireflies, or that moment where my dad looked at me when we were on the canoe trip, or looking at bugs in the garden, or like they're so like every day, but they meant so much. Those are the most common, best childhood memories that show up for people.
Another takeaway I had when you were asking us to reflect, and I think you just touched on here about personal memories and then career highlights or something that more professional. And I realized how laden my professional accolades were, because that's where I'm so passionate about the work I do. And I realized, Wow, I need to, there's got to be more than, in addition to all these wonderful accolades on the business side, even though that is my life, that we're on the personal side. So I even kind of assessed that. I was like, this was such a good exercise. So thank you, because it really made me think about, well, yeah, I want to have more personal, like off the clock sort of wonderful memories as well.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, and that's what the feedback has really been about the book, is like, wow, it really made me think. And so many people have said it makes my whole life make sense. I mean, that is the most prominent feedback, is this process has really made my whole life make sense, because as we look at the wholeness of us, not just our childhood, but our professional life and our personal life, all these different aspects of ourselves, and we see the same energy really flowing through these different aspects of life. Wow, it really, in the same breath, kind of helps us feel very simple in a way that makes us feel unique and special and valuable, and wealthy and abundant, like all in the same breath. It's both.
No question. Well, and also you gave so many stories of your own stories that people, at least for me reading it, I'm sure many, but I really identified. I'm like, wow, we're like cut from the same cloth. But it goes back to where we just feel that sense of oneness when we can really see ourselves and others. And that's what I always want to encourage people to do, is like see ourselves and others, instead of find us staying more, like in your words, the polarity side. I always say the duality of life, but the polarity, same thing, is really that or embracing the shadow, or really looking at some of these downsides. Do you want to maybe touch on that a bit? Because you do emphasize really acknowledging the polarity of life. So I think that's important for people to know about.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time, day in and day out, and in the book quite a bit. And I think it's the most valuable aspect of the Soul Agenda work, is really identifying the polarity. I think that, you were just talking about looking at other people, and, I talk in the book about how we're all soulmates. I think this is a part of life that's so, so, so important, and yet, gosh, even I sometimes don't want to talk about it. Like, I just wish that life could just be Sundays with cherries on top all the time. But the fact is that the depth of life really is in the places where we have resistance. It's in the difficult relationships. It's in the health crises. It's in the spiritual crises. It's in the jobs that we don't like, that then we find our passions. Like, I hate to say it, but it's true. It's those dualities that really bring the depth and the meaning and the purpose, and that's why they're important. A lot of people who end up finding me either are in those polarity aspects of life, or those dualistic aspects of life that we don't love to be in, and when they want to find their way out. Yeah, that's one person who finds me. But the other person is a person who knows they're missing something, because they're kind of like skimming along the superficial, and they haven't allowed themselves, right? They haven't allowed themselves the vulnerability, or whatever it is, to go into the depths. And let's face it, it's brave work to do that.
So true. You touched on it. You said, it's the people who are, quote unquote, faking it and looking good on the outside, but still kind of feeling that void, or that sense of like hopelessness, because they haven't really nailed sort of that soul's agenda. I'm going to just use your words. And so it's true. How many people do you, I think there's many people faking it. And really, this is the time for authenticity. So your book is like exudes authenticity, and so that's why I really want everyone who's listening to be considering this book. I bet it's a really good book for book clubs. Do you have people book clubs cropping up around the world? I can imagine.
Yeah, actually, I just got a note from somebody today that said that they were doing the book with a book club, which I thought was fascinating. Our company is running our first book club, which is fun, because as we do that, we'll be able to give other people some recommendations when they want to run their own book clubs from us, as to what we think some of the most important things are from our experience, which is always important, I think, for all companies. But heck, I'll just speak for us, to be able to do something first and then say, like, this worked and this didn't. So this is a book that, because of how it's written, is definitely inviting conversations and perfect for book clubs.
Mm-hmm. Do you see yourself writing other books?
Yeah, my husband and I both have now a list of the next 2, and we're trying to keep it at bay, because we really want to really sink in and not only enjoy, but allow this book to reach the people it's supposed to reach and have the beauty of the experience with this book before we go into the next. But we're already kind of feeling the universal tug and the tug of our students in particular to write a book about sensation-based mindset coaching, which is, what our certification program is in. So that book will probably be around the bend, I would say, in early 2020.
Did you think when you, your background I saw was more, you did some, well, you have a huge background, but I also saw that you worked, do Qigong and Tai Chi and kind of some of the Eastern philosophies. Did you ever sense that would tie in later to what your work you're doing now? Because I've recently become involved with Qigong. A girlfriend of mine teaches it, and I'm in love with it.
Yeah. No, my background's in movement. I was a professional dancer when I was a teenager in New York City, and I thought that it's funny, I don't like teaching movement classes, actually. I like participating in movement, but I really kind of thought that my trajectory would be as a movement instructor. So when I went to get my certification in Tai Chi and Qigong, the reason I did was to teach movement classes, but what I was supposed to learn there, what I did learn there, was the philosophy. Because now I take the philosophy and it literally infuses everything that I do every day.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, in the last few minutes we have here, do you want to give some best practices or something for people to think about? I just want to emphasize before you answer that also that I said it earlier, but this is a no experience necessary book. You don't have to be walking this evolved path for many, many years, or it's really you make it palatable and you make it approachable for all levels of people who are just exploring or have been exploring. So I just really want to say that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. It was my hope when writing the book that was going to be the case, and I'm happy to hear that's being received that way.
Yes.
As a last note, I think that it's really important if you ever find yourself wondering what's wrong with you or what's wrong with life, to become aware of the fact that if you're asking that question, that means that what you desire is at hand. It means it's actually there. You just can't see it. So I think that's so important because it's so easy to lose hope and lose focus and lose our sense of ourselves when we're in those moments. And it's been my experience now over and over and over again. It's not that we have to attract the things that we want in life as much as they're already in front of us. And when we're getting to the place where we think all hope is lost, or we think it can't be done, or we think there's something wrong with us or wrong with life, what we want is so close. We can feel it. We can smell it. It is there. Keep the faith and learn the laws, if I may say so. Whether you learn them from me or you learn them from somebody else, learn the laws just as you and I know, that law of duality, law of polarity. Whatever it is that you want in life, because you desire it, it's there. You just might not be able to see it. So I hope to leave the listeners with a real hope that what they want is already in their lives, because it is.
Yes, I love that. And another piece from your book that I'm just going to tease people with is really learning the art of feeling more so than thinking. And you mention that so often. That's a huge piece in my work as well. So I just want to acknowledge you for that, because we need to bring in all the sensories, people, on all levels to really, like you just said, eat, feel, smell, touch, really experience what we want. And I love that quote that you just said. I mean, it is. And I think it's at hand for a lot of people, because you wouldn't be doing this wonderful press circuit. People wouldn't be gravitating if people weren't really ready for this, and they are. So that's a good thing for humanity.
Yeah, I agree. We need more feeling.
Yes.
We need more feeling for sure.
Well, how can people reach you more besides your book, for sure? How can people learn more about all the work that you're doing with you and your husband?
Well, really the best way to enter in is to go over to our website about the book, findyoursoulsagenda.com, because that will give you an opportunity to find out a little bit about us as well. And I know this sounds crazy in this day and age, but we actually talk to people. So if you go over to the website, you get our contact us form, whatever, send us a message. We actually answer our emails. We actually talk to people. We want to talk about what's what your life is like and answer real live questions. Like I said, I know that sounds crazy, but that really is the best way. We love to get to know people. So go over to the website, check out the book, check out what we're doing, but contact us. Let's have a conversation.
How novel. Well, I've enjoyed our conversation. I've enjoyed it immensely. I feel like I'm talking to a sister. It's just so great. I know I want to stay in touch with you. So thank you for being here. We hope to have you again on ZGR at another time in the future.
I feel the same.
Yeah, beautiful. And we wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful, blessed week. We hope you send in your information about how this book has affected you. Jump onto our private group there, our Zeta Global Radio Deeper Dive into Consciousness, and of course share our YouTube channel, which we are now hosting our shows on. So, all right, everyone, blessings to you. I look forward to you finding your soul's agenda and the one word that will change your life for ultimate success. Is that the right phrasing?
That is right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, everyone, blessings. Take care.